Here are some quick tips for setting up your D&D game. A couple of relatively easy to make resources that can make the start of your game pretty interesting. So let's check it out. So here is my handout that I use for the start of my Tal'Dorei campaign, but you could use this on really any game that you're making. I set this up as just an easy way to have a reason that anybody's character would be together at a given location. So in my game, I center it around an adventuring guild, and that was the kind of characters I wanted to have in the game. So we've got what is essentially a flyer that they have found in game as a just as a little plot hook, essentially, for before they even meet. So whatever their background, they're traveling around, they go to a tavern, and they find one of these flyers posted. That is, adventures needed, coin, glory, comrades, Lanolin Adventurers Guild. And we give a quick introduction that we are in Westrun, the city in Tal'Dorei, and that they are starting an Adventurers Guild. That they have staff that's there to help them with various things, so they have some reason why they would adventure with them instead of just random places. And then the trick of this is actually the guild bylaws section. So this is a way for me to sneak in the player behaviors that you would cover in session 0, and that way you have an in-game reason that they would know about these things. So it's not purely a metagaming thing, although this is a metagaming thing, if we're totally honest. And then it's just a good way to set up those expectations. So some key ones: so honor your party, be sure all adventurers have a chance to speak, and pay attention to their input. Mutual respect is key. Your party keeps you safe while you sleep. So split loot fairly and honestly. Be someone other adventurers would want to travel with. Stay true to your character, and be sure your character is that of not being a complete dick. So those are actually just out-of-game expectations for players. And then honor the guild. While working on guild business, avoid distractions. If you have taken an adventure from the guild, make sure it is your primary focus. While on guild grounds, try to maintain proper hygiene for fellow adventurers, a bath, washed clothes, or prestidigitation cantrip. So again, that's all in-game language, but those are out-of-game expectations. And honor yourself, know your abilities as best you can. You are part of the world, keep track of friends and foes. So all those things really translate simply, and you would make a side list of out-of-game expectations you cover in session 0 that pair up with these exactly. So you are part of the world, keep track of friends and foes is meaning try to take notes. You don't have to be amazing, but try to keep notes so oh, let's go find that guy. What guy? I have no idea what his name or occupation or where he was. Be that guy then isn't enough for me to help you out as dungeon master. So that is the adventurer's handout, the flyer that they find to get them to session 1. I think that is a fun resource that works really well. The next thing that I wanted to talk about that is an excellent resource, and I keep mine in a little $2 box from the craft store. I take Magic the Gathering cards and just trim them down. Now these are what, if you're in Magic Gathering, this is what we refer to as draft trash. So in Magic, there's constructed, where you build a deck. Those can be free $400 decks. That's not what we're working with. We're working with draft trash. So draft, you pay $12, and you open packs and just make the best deck you can. Now that leaves you with a bunch of commons and uncommons that you'd never build a constructed deck out of, hence draft trash. These are 5-cent cards that people will just leave out at the end of a draft. So just trim them down to just the artwork. Sometimes the artwork with a little bit of border. So the idea behind these is that these are random elements that you can then put into the game at character creation. So the way that I play this out is that they, at some point, walk through an art gallery. This can be going into the Adventurers Guild, that there is like an entryway and then a hallway that is lined with art pieces. And I just say, okay, well, take these and we'll just lay these out. And you just pick one that's face down as one that your character spotted or took note of on the way in. So let's just say, did not order these, so I don't know what this is going to be. So say they took note of this as they were coming in. So I would make note and tie that to their character, and then this would represent a magic item that they will eventually find, or some sort of premonition or ability that they will have as just like a cool work-in. Now, if it's a weak enough item for your starting level, like I saw these winged boots. If you're starting your game at like 5th level, it might be appropriate for you to just have them start with these winged boots and be like, they walk by and they see those winged boots on the wall and they look down and they're like the same ones they're wearing and they're like, oh, that's weird. And it just adds a little bit of like a premonition kind of thing. If you're starting at 1st level, you probably don't want to be tossing out magic items like that, but this could be cool. I see these little like skull rings on the hand with this Rakshasa. So that could be a couple of things. They could be a powerful magic ring that is tied to a Rakshasa. And so when they find this magic ring, if they decide to attune to it for whatever bonus it has, that will also invoke the ire of a Rakshasa, which will begin trying to hunt them down. So like stuff like that. And somebody else pulls this over here, and this is like a dragon scale mantle kind of thing. So that could be just like a mantle of fire resistance that's made of dragon scales. And that could be, something that they find. Or again, if you're a higher level where something like a mantle of fire resistance would be an appropriate item for them to start with, then that's also cool. Because you'd have a real easy, like, you're walking in on this art and one piece of art that catches your eye, and you realize that is the same cloak that you are wearing. And you can use that for a bunch of different ways. You can have that there's some sort of oracle that works for this guild or this area that you're going into, and they are the painter, and this oracle makes paintings of their premonitions, and so you are part of a premonition that they have had. So that can be cool. It can also just be like a fun thing on very new players. It can be a thing of like, there's things that happen in the background here, story things, supernatural things, and it kind of gives you that flavor going on. So yeah, there you go. Lots of these things. You can often, if you know anyone that plays Magic, they will just ask them to keep some of their draft trash, and they will probably just give it to you. These are not expensive cards that have been cut up. They call them draft trash for a reason. It's just tons of cool little art things. Oh, a little goblin. Somebody is going to get a little goblin companion who likes to surf on a shield and help them out. Alright, those are my little quick tips. We'll see you guys around. I was going to say, if you don't know anyone that plays Magic the Gathering and you want to do the little stack of cutout art pieces thing, it's pretty straightforward. Friday nights, it's called Friday Night Magic. There are magic events at game shops all over the place. And you can call them up and say, hey, I have a little project. I need some draft trash for an artwork project. I was wondering if I could come by Friday night and pick up some draft trash, whatever people leave around. Chances are they'll probably say yes. I mean, sometimes shops gather that kind of stuff to sell, but they're talking a couple of cents at a time. And honestly, if you go there and say, hey, while I'm there, I'm going to buy a player's handbook or something, they definitely will, be like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, because magic shops and D&D shops overlap quite a bit, so should be fine. I think I've been to 2 magic shops where I was like, hey, can I take the draft trash? And they're like, take a pile, and it's fine. It's pretty straightforward. And plus, if you ask an individual person, because it's technically their cards at the end of the night, hey, can I have your draft trash? They're, especially if you spot someone who's, a little bit more experienced on it, they don't feel a need for the draft trash, and they'll just be like, yeah, sure, go for it. So check it out. It's a cool free resource to make for a fun adventure start, and you can use them throughout the game too. So there we are.